more independently or dependent on others to feel complete or whole. So, how has your interactions one-on-one as well as group settings affected by your definition?
Well, that's a good one. I feel whole. That I feel whole, but I feel displaced oftentimes um, in close relationships that maybe you're expecting a specific thing that you thought you were going to get, or that, oh, maybe over there it looks like um, a loving, nurturing relationship. Like, oh, I want that. I remember thinking that a lot. Like, I never had that. I would say when I was younger, that wasn't like, I didn't have like a deep connection to like even like my parents. That was not the relationship. So I think I took that as like, oh, I must not be worthy of love. I must not be enough. Or, you just kind of like take it and then start doing stuff that, oh, well, if I do this, let's see if they love me more now. Um, so I would say that definitely was uh something that, even though I felt complete, it still seemed odd because everybody else had these close relationships that I kind of wanted, but I didn't know how to do it. Obviously, I know now, knowing human design, because it's really not, it's really not for me. It's okay. But it was like a thing. And then I feel displaced often in like group settings because I experiment a lot with this. It's hilarious. It always seems like the person that is like, they'll be like a person at an event that is really excited to talk to me. Like my magnetic aura will pull them in and they'll follow me around for where it's creepy. That I'm like, oh my God, that lady just followed me to the bathroom. What the F? And then another person who maybe I wanted to talk to, who is like, doesn't even realize their energy in their face. They're just trying to get away from me. And so I'll almost like be funny about it. Like, hi. And just to, experiment. So it's just really been, I would say, a fun experiment in that way, where I think before I knew about human design, um I learned to love myself anyway. My life's work has been, coaching and mentoring people to feel their best and go all in on their uniqueness. It's like what I do. So I figured out a lot of go arounds, but human design has been the best tool for really honoring it and embodying it in the body, because Siobhan, you said some of the most beautiful things, because I was like, that's so funny, because I think as a child, I disconnected from my body completely because I didn't want to feel pain. And it has been a hard road. Like I've done every healing modality known under the sun while we've been here on earth. And, each of them work a little, but the layers and layers of pushing things out for years has really human design has really allowed me to just be open to receiving things, and trusting that, I am enough. And it's an interesting dynamic when you hear it through the lens of so many things, because I hear so often, because I'm a 6-2 heart-centered manifestor, like it's like 0.2% of the population. It's like, very rare that people are like, oh, it's so cool. They're like mesmerized if they know about human design. However, if they didn't meet me knowing it, I love the experiment with the energy, because I have always felt like I was a 7-foot tall, really powerful man, because my dad used to tell me when I was a little kid, there's a reason God put you in that tiny 5'1" package, because you are scary. Like, so I like that's my energy when I walk through, and I'd be like, what, little me? Like, why is everyone staring at me? I'm trying to be quiet. And it's funny because my husband's like, there's nothing about you that's quiet. Like, you just know it. And so embracing that, I don't have to hide that. Like, okay, so like be bold, go big, or it's fine. It's just like been really amazing to have a language that allows us to all be so different and truly honor it, because I mean that's where the beauty is in all of the world. Like, I love hearing people's intricacies of their story and what makes them unique. And human design is such a beautiful way to do that, while still sharing some of the pain that we've all been through, because we like thought something was wrong with us. Turns out, nope, you're actually perfectly designed as you are. And that's all you need to remember.
You're perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the thing. You're perfect.
Perfectly imperfect. That's like it's like you are perfectly imperfect as you are. And I love it.
Well, I have noticed my split has caused me very much. It's been a big part of this process inside of me that says I don't mind my dependency upon the other. I have a dependency upon the others and their feelings about a thing and sort of what they're feeling. I want their support. And I love that about me because I know it helps pull people together. And that's always going to be a beautiful thing. Where the line gets drawn is when whatever it is that I think I might want out of a person as it relates to just support and or dependence or independence. So my independence comes in as soon as the situation is asking me to question my own love of me, because I love you, but I promise you I love me more, and I love me that way. And I think I'm amazing. So when that stuff starts to get questioned, in the past, I would try to explain myself, or I would try to explain open ego. I'd also try and prove something, or I'd start to feel like stupid or bad because I didn't know if I was worthy or what.
So here's the last thing of it all is that with the way this question was worded, I feel that where this has hurt me as being a single definition manifestor, where this has hurt me is that I don't know how to ask for help, but I want help. And so for years I would be like, oh, why is this person like no one would help me? And I get it now, right? I have to inform, I have to let people know what I'm thinking. Like, this is even if I'm just telling them what's going on, that has been a major game changer. But before understanding that, oh, the leadership mistakes I made, just being angry when all I had to do is open up my mouth. So that was the thing. I think because I can do it, because I can, like, I'm designed to be able to do it, but I don't want to. I don't want to do stuff that's not fun. That has been the biggest learning curve. Okay, Danny, back to you.
I didn't know. I thought we were dovetailing. I thought, yeah. So for me, I forgot what was the last thing you heard. Do you remember? Anybody? Well, just I can simplify it all, and just the recognition that I used to think it was a flaw to know that I relish and I feel really good with the dependence on the other that I enjoy. Because I get so much. I'm always getting so much. My right mind gets drawn from, my split gets bridged, even if they don't bridge my split. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? There's something going on between me and that other person or other people. And to just know that as I woke up to my nature, I drew the line that I naturally would draw anyways. It's just now I draw it much quicker and much more steadfastly. And before I'd have to really work up to it. You know what I mean? And that line is, if you ask me to not love me in any kind of way, then then now I'm not dependent upon you. That's for dang sure. If you ask me to not feel good about something, or you want me to feel bad about something, I don't know that. I don't want to do that because you said it. So then I draw the line. But the rest of the time, I'm totally dependent on certain things, and that causes me to reach out, and then I get new juice, and now I can explain something new, and it's this exciting experience of back and forth. It's like the little bird that goes down, picks up a drop of water, and then comes back to rest for a minute, and then back down. And so I don't mind that process. Before I thought it was a weakness, and I was supposed to be single definition and not need any of that. Now it's just a way to spread more love. So I'm good. So I'm done. Yeah.
Awesome.
Mm.
Um, yeah, for me, it's also kind of just echoing what Tracy was saying about how human design has kind of allowed the things that, and kind of what Danny was saying too, about how things that felt not great or that needed to be fixed just aren't that way anymore, or they don't feel as, you know, um, detrimental to who I am. They're part of who I am. There's things that I get to express as the unique being that I am. And part of that for me was it being a triple split was like kind of going back to in the relationships feeling kind of I guess kind of stifled by the aura. If it was like asking me to do the same thing for so much time and I didn't have a chance to be something else for a little bit or do something different for a little bit, it was like I'm a bad partner or I'm not being a good friend or um there's something wrong with me because they're doing everything that my mind can conceive as like a good partner or a good friend and I have to do this. I have to like I don't feel that way or like in this moment I'm feeling not that, right? And so um now understanding that and giving myself the freedom to be like, okay, well, this group, I kind of, now that I'm like reflecting on it, I have an ebb and flow of groups and friends. There's not, I mean, there's like um, a central core that has been there, but that central core has also shifted and changed, like as the cycles of the planets have changed, and as I've even been in different environments. But to not feel as though I'm like supposed to anchor onto these people and supposed to always be around these people. And to give myself the permission to be like, okay, well, for now, for this season, that's not a space that I have to be in, or these aren't the people that I have to be around. This isn't the auras that my triple split need to be connected by in this moment. And to be okay with that and to be like, okay, now now that those are out, like going into the background, which ones are coming into the foreground and accepting the kind of shift and change of the guard in a sense. Um, but yeah, that's all that feels like it's coming through me at the moment.
Awesome. Okay. I was taking notes because everything that you said, it was like lighting up little. I was like, yes, yes, yes. Okay. So I just kind of want to summarize, since this is our last question, summarize like what a human design has really done for me. As someone that has ADHD and knowing I was a quad split, I'm like, this makes sense. I was like, this makes sense why there's so many things going on at all times. But as Tracy mentioned, I didn't have that language. So I just thought, oh, I need to, take something to fix my mind. I don't feel like I need to fix my mind anymore. And because I'm kind of a hippie, I'm like, I'll drink my mushrooms. I'll have my nootropics. Like that's the way that I want to do it because I don't want to stifle those voices. Like I don't want to stifle those voices. And I feel whole now because before it used to feel like I wasn't enough, right? Because I didn't understand what I was working with. So I was always searching for that from somebody else. I was always second guessing myself. That's part of the, not being tapped in and knowing what's going on. Um, but now when I'm like in groups, to answer the question, how do I function in groups? Because I know that I wear many hats, whether it's human design hats, whether it's ADHD hats, whether it's in real life. I'm a single mom, I'm a business owner, I was a pastor once. Like I know that I can put on many different roles when I come to the scene. So when I'm in a group, I no longer have to feel like I have to prove myself. I can sit back and let everyone kind of naturally go into their spaces. And then I can see where I can fill in the gap or who may need some help or some guidance in something. But the thing you said something about ebb and flows, Chris, with your different social groups. And for me, it made me think of how I am on social media, knowing that there's like 8 different versions of me and people are like, how do you do so many platforms? I'm like, well, sometimes I feel more drawn to this one. Like when I want to speak from the heart, I'm going to go to this place. When I want to speak something spiritually sound, I know that people over here, that this audience isn't ready for that. So I'm going to go over here. And understanding as a projector that and waiting for my strategies, waiting for the invitation, knowing that I have to be invited in certain places really helps me understand where my energy gets to go and who's going to receive it best. And so that, to overstate it, has been a game changer in helping me not only not be dependent on others, feel independent on my own, but also making spaces safer for others when I'm functioning with them. So, yeah.
Nice. Is it that process? This quadruple split in, coming in 4 different areas, open sacral, so projector. What's your profile, by the way, Sean?
Remind me what a profile is again.
It's just your two. I'm a
She's
2-4.
a 1-3.
Oh,
It's
1-3,
on
1-3.
Right. Okay. Deeply investigative. So knowing you're not ready to make a decision and having a certain amount of guaranteed insecurity about things just from the start, this makes for a long and winding road that anyone getting to know you has to take some time and start to say, that's great. See, that's the thing. The more we know our design, the more everyone is easier to talk about, that's great, inside of everyone else. When like 2 days ago, before we knew, it's like, that sucks. And it's literally, has anyone find these humorous moments in all of this as we go through? I wonder, that's, so good. But anyways, moving on. I'm done. I didn't know if that was even a question, but just this whole. But I guess, Annie, what's your take on all of that dependence and independence? I imagine you have a unique story.
Oh, well, yeah. I think there's been multitude of moments of hyper independence, independence, and then dependence, hyper dependence. So just traversing, 6 years in human design has allowed me to probably uncouple from dependence. So I guess sitting here today, if someone was to say to me, well, how do you, exactly this question, I would think I'm very independent. And the reason I say that is because I do need the other, but I don't. It's a very strange concept. Yes, I do need you all to bridge my gaps. Yes, I do need, definition, but I don't need you to take on any of that stuff. So it's a nuance here when it comes to definition, I suppose, for just through my lens. Can I say I'm also a 5-1, so calm your pitchforks. But it's very much this. I really getting into this experiment and understanding my reflector role and myself with all of these undefined and open centers. I don't need the other, but I do. But I don't need the other to complete me. I just need to feel and experience, but I don't take anything on. And I think that's what I've really got out of this conversation as well, of feeling into that, of going, it's very different through my lived experience as being a reflector, that I don't desire all these bridges. I don't necessarily need them. I want them, but I don't need them. So, yeah, there have been periods of time through that, definitely dependence where I haven't been able to make decisions. I don't know what's correct for me. And so trusting others, trusting other definitions, trusting my husband, he's a sacral generator, even my daughters, they're splenic projectors, and just kind of like, soundboarding out and trusting that definition for me to feel like I can complete myself. But the longer I'm in this experience, the more it's very much that I don't need that. My inner authority and my time-waiting decision-making process and allowing myself to sample and not take on that definition is a way for me to feel that wholeness within myself. So I know with reflectors that they're also, it's always about what's your inner authority. We don't really have it, it's like we just have strategy. I wish they just would put, because we always get put none. But I sense that our inner authority is that coming back to that nuance and that way that we flow and dance through, the journey of that lunar cycle, the transit cycle. And it allows us to kind of like tap into all of that definition as it goes through to feel into that wholeness of us. So it takes longer, but the more we get used to it, the more it kind of shortens in time that we can kind of trust in that. So I think that's why I'd like to say I'm not really dependent any longer, because my dependency is on my own beingness opposed to everybody else's. Well, that's a bit woo-woo, but yeah, that came out. You never
Not
know
at
what
all.
you're going to get.
It was really sensible, actually, because juxtaposed to all the rest of the, defined solar beings, that would make perfect sense. That make perfect sense. The wisp floating amongst the masses, right? This unicorn called a reflector. But I don't know. I feel pretty good, Moana.
I was going to say that was absolutely just such a treat for an audience member. I hope you, being part of such a magical group, felt just as rewarding as it did for the audience, just taking it in and just getting so much out of listening to all your varied experiences and your ahas and your nuggets. Like, it was just sheer brilliance. So I'm so glad how this group came together, because I think it was just like the perfect group. I made a funny realization between all of you. You cover all the lines. So I'm like, that's a nice rounding. There's not a single line that was left behind with you five. So that's quite magical.
Nice.
It feels magical.